Hello, Ben.
Hello there. I
Enjoy,
can't stop moving after hearing that
enjoying the music,
funky
yeah.
music.
Love it, love it.
Play that funky music, wild boy.
How you doing, mate?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm doing all right. I'm trying to get used to doing it at this time of the day. It's light outside still, and my work computer's still switched on, so I've got like my work head still attached to my body.
Yeah, we can fix that.
Yes,
But see, I figured since I invited myself to your show, I might as well dictate the timing and everything, right?
I think that's only fair. So
I
to,
mean, that's
prov-
the
to
point.
to provide some context to that, what I asked you how long ago if you wanted to come on, and then I think I cancelled.
Back
Probably
in
I
spring.
cancelled. Yeah, like
Well, you,
spring.
you had something, I think you called it work. I have no idea what any of that means.
Yeah, I
Probably
think
some made up term, but
it was day. Yeah, I think I just made up some reason because I couldn't bother to speak to you. That's right. And then of
that is
course,
fair enough.
yeah, and
But I
then
think we were actually scheduled for the day you started a new job, if I remember
true.
correctly.
That's
So
right. That's right. That's
you were
what it
like,
was.
yeah, on the
That's
first day, that may not be great. I was like, "Oh,
that's
potatoes,
true.
potatoes, anyways." But
At least that sounds like a legitimate reason. And now obviously I'm 4 months into my new job, and
oh,
apparently I feel secure enough to kind of
you keep
utilize.
saying that it sounds legitimate, but it really doesn't. But
I know.
I mean, each to their own.
But if I keep saying it, at least it'll try and make it sound true for myself.
That,
Am I convincing you or am I
anyways,
convincing me?
at this point, yes. And I know it was an either or question, but I
No,
mean,
it's all good. It's all good. Anyway, we finally got around. You reminded me that I owed you an invitation, and then I felt terrible about it because I'm English and I feel terrible pretty easily about things.
from what I have noticed over my long life so far is that the English they don't really feel sorry. They're just very good at pretending to. By the way, excellent question, Scott. I have no who is interviewing whom. This is just a conversation amongst people, and some of all y'all stalkers all have joined us.
Who is interviewing whom? That's very good. First of all, who is interviewing whom? Very good grammar. I'm so impressed. I would have written who myself.
Well,
So
Scott is from Canada, so
that's
I
true.
mean,
Yeah, it's very
he's
impressive. Very
polite
polite.
and grammarish.
Yeah. So do you think Canadians are actually polite, whereas our English just pretend to be polite? We have that
You're
like.
putting words in my mouth, but
I actually agree with that. To be honest, we're very good at lying, and just like the pretense of manners is what I always say. But we got here eventually, and you're here. Do you want to? I mean, do you want to quickly introduce yourself? Those people who perhaps who don't know who you are, like who's
I'm
this
I'm
random
I'm
Ben
not
dude?
prepared for that.
I
But
know. I know.
let me try to come up with something.
I'll give
Can
you
you
like
tell me
one
like,
minute. We can just sit here for 1 minute in silence as you think of something. Yeah.
yeah? Apparently, we haven't met because otherwise, you would know that there is no way I'm sitting anywhere for 1 minute in silence. This is not happening. Anyways, to your question, Ben, I'm Ben. This is not going to be confusing at all over the course of this show. Whenever one of us says Ben, we're never going to know which one we're actually talking to. Uh,
Am I
I'm based
referring to
out of.
myself as the third person? I'm not sure.
There's also that. Uh, we are based out of, just adding some royal we here, out of Nuremberg, Germany, running a small consultancy firm here, very active in the data platform community, running a couple of events, speaking at a couple of events. So um,
Nice.
besides that work thing that I think we've left behind us at this point for a better part of that conversation, yeah, data is my passion and community is my passion. So
Right. It's a good
that's what I
combination.
do.
Very cool. And you're good at it as well, apparently. I mean, I've in the past couple of weeks. I mean, the community part for sure. The data part, I can't speak to that, but I'm sure you are very good.
Oh, well,
Eh, eh. Yeah, I get it. I mean,
thank you,
because in the past
Copilot.
few weeks, I had on a few people who kind of were on like new stars of data and stuff, which you're quite a big part of. What
I may or may not be slightly involved in. No.
you are.
So new stars of data is, so when I say I'm passionate about our community, the one thing that I'm trying to push, support, whatever you want to call it, in this community is driving new speakers or enabling new speakers, I should rather say, not in a pushy way, but making room for those that
Very
that I think do deserve a stage and room in our community.
which is very
And for a
nice.
very long time, I've called that increasing diversity. I'm at a
Okay.
point where I would rather say I'm not even sure diversity is our problem. It's because we do have the diversity, we're
Mm.
just not very inclusive.
Okay.
And we just have the next new stars of data in about 3 weeks. And if I look on the schedule, that schedule is super diverse, but it's not like we were like, okay, we're only going to pick diverse speakers. It's just the
Mm.
people that applied for, and again, that may not be 100% statistically accurate just because people know that we make
Mm.
extra room for those that would potentially not get a chance to speak at other big events at first. And I'm saying at first, just yesterday, my good friend Nikola Ilic, who was in the first New Stars of Data,
Oh,
he
really? I didn't
spoke
notice
at the
that.
he spoke at the Power Platform Summit. I
So
mean, everybody in the Power BI community at this point pretty much knows who Nikola is. He spoke to a room full of 800 people.
I saw that. That was on his his Power BI cookbook or whatever they call it.
Uh,
800
I think it
people.
was the query folding thingy, but I may
Okay.
confuse that. But either way,
800 people is crazy.
I don't care which session it was.
Yeah.
800 people in the room. If that doesn't show you that there is someone that has a story to tell,
Mm.
uh, there we go. So, and there's still
Exactly.
lots of events out there. The
Mm.
bigger events are getting way better at that. So SQL Bits, yes. Pass Summit, yes. They're all doing a great job. There's still events out there that try to get as many MVPs to the table as possible,
Mm.
which the new stars of data also cater to because quite a bunch of the former speakers actually became MVPs over the past couple of years. But so many, and our goal is not to create as many MVPs as we can. That's more a side effect, but it still
Mm.
shows you if you see how many of them. Heini Umarin was an MVP less than a year after she spoke at New Stars of Data. Martha Mungan just became MVP. I think it was May of this year, or
Okay.
May or June. Either
Yeah.
way, this year. So
It's very
those are
impressive.
all, and they're now also they're everywhere. Martha
Yeah.
is doing a learning path at Pass, for example,
Yeah.
and seeing all that is just so great, and it really shows that all these people. I mean, not all of the speakers at New Stars or at the newcomer track at Data Grillen
Mm.
will become these quote unquote rockstar speakers. In many
Yeah.
cases, because they don't want to. We've had lots of them that were like, okay, this was interesting. It's not for me.
Yeah.
Okay,
Fair
thanks,
enough.
bye. Which is fair.
Yeah.
But at least they tried and they got the chance to do so.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was speaking to a couple of weeks ago. It was Eleanor, and she is in November. She's also speaking at like a huge event. And she was
Correct.
mentioned. Yeah, it's where's it? There you go. She's here in the chat somewhere. Exactly. And she's presenting it at some huge event in November as well. So yeah, it's very cool. Lots of nice stuff going on, and it's nice to focus on that. Someone said before about the old stars of data. Maybe that could be a thing as well. You could do an old stars of data. People who also have started at the new stars of data and now also want to keep presenting, but do a
Yeah,
experienced person's track.
the thing is, we don't have to anymore because
Yeah.
everybody wants them to speak at their events now anyway.
Yeah.
So,
Try so.
which is why I don't get why people aren't more open to that from the beginning.
Fair enough. So, um, I was I follow you on Twitter, of course, and you tweeted something from the
You mean
SQL
like X, right?
conference. X Twitter. I try to use it less and less these days, but because of
For a reason.
for reasons I'm sure are pretty clear. But you tweeted a photograph, and I sometimes every you'll get these situations where you get like like conference envy and stuff that there. And I haven't been to as many conferences as I wanted to this year, by which
We
I
should
mean
fix that.
I've been to zero. And I really want. So next year, I'm kind of pushing back my ambition. But you tweeted a photo. I rarely do this, but I'm gonna try and share my screen with you. Oh, not with you, with everyone, of course. And see if I get this right.
Everybody else,
This
look
is
away. I gotta check that picture first.
yeah. Don't worry. I think it should be okay. This
Well,
this
if it's on Twitter, people can see it. It's
yeah.
maybe
This
here.
one. This photograph that you shared on Twitter.
Yep.
And the reason it made me particularly envious because the guy in the background, this guy here, I used to work with him, Evandro.
Yeah.
I used to work with Evandro, and I was immediately even more jealous than I usually am. I was like, do you when you see someone you haven't seen for a long time? Oh man, that guy, that would have been cool to see Evandro at the SQL conference. So I just keep having these moments. Like, oh man, I wish I'd beaten him more this year. I wish I'd put in more of the effort. But yeah, changing job. I decided to kind of focus more on that rather than hopping around in different places in
Oh,
Europe
there's
to
always
go
a
to
next year.
conferences. There is, and this next year starts with Fabric February, which will be a cool one to go to, and then there's whatever. I mean, all the standard conferences and stuff, but I kind of want to go to Fabric February because I've never been to Norway, and I
And it's
really
going
want.
to be a fabulous event.
I
I
can
can see
imagine,
that.
even though it's called Fabric something, I still want to go.
See, I know nothing about fabric, and I
Me
want to
neither.
go. So there we
Me
go.
neither. I feel like
No,
please.
no, but this will be a great event. Speaking of events that you should come to, I mean, while we're talking about events, Data Girl and Call for Speakers is still open,
Yes. True.
and
True.
we are the most delicious event out there.
That is true, actually. That's a good point. And I've just been working on all of my my sessions that I submit, giving them more interesting names and stuff. Because I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago. I was reading through them. I was like, even I'm a little bit bored by the names of the sessions. So I'm just going to try and make them seem a bit more interesting on Sessionize. Do it that way. So we shall see. But yes, things will be submitted. I will, and if not, I will just attend things anyway because it's nice to attend things, and it's been since I don't know, probably a year and a half that I have actually been to anything. It's just fun to get out there and in the real world, even though I feel very comfortable in my
Yeah.
office, away from humans and stuff. You know.
No, I get that. And at the same time, it is so much fun getting back to the in-person events. I'm still trying to find a good balance with that, and I may have overcommissioned myself a bit anyway for this year at some point. But still, I'm more or less done with virtual events.
Okay. Yeah.
With the exception of New Stars of Data, which will always be virtual.
Of course. Naturally.
And then we're doing this new thing, Data Left Unattended, in December, where all the attendees will be virtual. Because, I mean, my balance may not be your balance. And there's still lots of people that don't want to or can't travel for so many reasons. So there is this gap. And at the same time, we do see speakers want to get together. So rather than calling the event Drinking with Friends, we figured we might as well deliver some sessions. And
it makes it more legitimate to
people
get
teach some stuff.
for your expenses and stuff, just to...
There's also that.
I love that.
My
But
CPA has a question.
yeah, it's an interesting idea. So basically, all the attendees are remote, but the presenters are on location.
Correct.
Interesting idea. It's quite cool.
We will test drive this in December here out of our office, which means some of the stuff will be very improvised because we don't have like a studio or anything. If this is as much fun as we predict it to be, and also works as smoothly and well enough for the attendees that we then the idea would be to basically take this event over the world, also enabling those speakers that, I mean, we have Joey flying in from the US for this, but I mean,
awesome.
Come on, it's Joey. So
I love
the
that.
idea is more to also enable those that want to speak at more local events. So if we bring that event to local places for the speakers and still make it accessible for virtual attendees, and we will put it on YouTube as usual, et cetera, et cetera. So
I mean, I've seen
possibly go wrong.
I'm sure you'll find out. I've seen this hybrid events, like if there's the Budapest BI conference is hybrid, I believe, and I just think that could be such a difficult thing to sort out. From
hybrid is the worst.
Okay, fair enough.
And I yet have to see. I mean, I'm pretty sure there's a reason why the past summit is going back from hybrid to in person only, and I understand that this is disappointing for some or even many of the attendees. But the effort that you have to put into not just the proper live stream, but also if you want to have a true hybrid event, you have to enable those that are virtual to interact with your speaker on site. But the speaker on site will then have to monitor a chat, potentially have people unmute, will have to talk to people in the room that will be on mic in potentially big rooms, because I mean, BITS is doing that. Some of these rooms fill literally hundreds of people.
Yeah, it's tough.
Kudos to the effort, but cost-wise and logistics-wise and everything, this is a nightmare. So
yeah, I can imagine. I because I started doing stuff with the Berlin Power BI user group at the start of this year, and we'd kind of discussed potentially, because we do the user group that we have is like it's fully remote. It didn't used to be. I remember a long time ago when I wasn't involved in organizing it, or it was like before Corona. I went to a couple here in Berlin, but we discussed kind of like bringing it back and doing maybe like a couple of like on-site sessions per year, just to still have that like concept of mostly remote, but some like in person. And also, I'd kind of toyed with the idea of maybe it would be quite cool to kind of, organize something like in Berlin, something a bit bigger. But every time I think of it, I just think of the effort. And I have so much respect for the people who organize these events and how much time and energy must actually take to put this stuff together. It must be truly enormous because
It is.
there's,
And I mean, think about it. For the big conferences, people pay the big bucks, so they expect. If you just say, "Hey,
yeah,
this is my virtual user. This is my in-person user group," but
mm,
what I will just do is I will set up a webcam and a mic, and
mm,
everybody can make the best out of it.
mm,
That is one thing.
yeah,
You can have your money back for my free user group. When you're delivering something that people paid a couple of hundred or even thousand
yeah,
euros, pounds, dollars, Canadian dollars, pick your poison,
bucks.
y- monies, um, uh, you have to deliver. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah, it's tough. One day we'll get there. And actually, if I do end up at least attempting to do that, I'll probably be annoying plenty of people and just getting up on their even just to, like even the user group to arrange something like in person for user group to actually have a speaker come and just though I mean those sort of things for me would be quite daunting. I mean it was infinitely more daunting to organize it than it is to present for sure. Because you present, you just go on stage, or you go stand in a room and talk for 45 minutes to an hour, which is of course can be scary if you've never done it before. I'm sure you get used to it. But I remember when I was at Next Step, just seeing the guys who were organizing, kind of like running around and making
mm,
sure everything was going smoothly and stuff. It's like, wow, that's a lot of effort. So I'll annoy some people at some point to get some tips on what the hell I'm supposed to be doing for this sort of thing. For sure, for sure. And you also have your Finding Data friends, though. Actually, I'm going to put the link in that in our chat. That's a cool. I love your Finding Data friends. That's very nice. It's also
it is a fun. It was one of these ideas where I was like, yeah, and I always wanted to do something together with jazz, but we
okay.
don't have that much actual overlap in what we do
All
um,
right.
from a professional perspective. So we could have done some non-technical stuff or whatever. So but I was like, how? And at the same time, I was like, well, there's so many people that everybody is talking about, and
Mm,
oh, I thought you were an MVP for forever, or I thought you did this, you do that. And I was like, well, and every single episode, I learn new stuff about people,
mm,
even those people that I've known for years. I mean, those are all new people to me, but let's just assume
I get
there
it.
might be one or two people that I have actually met before. So no, it's a fun thing, and given that people are still um, watching it on a regular basis, we will just keep. I mean, we will be at 40 something episodes just before Christmas,
That's cool. Very nice.
and then
Congratulations,
we can
Ben.
start working on our famous reunion episode.
Nice. Cool. I actually have to. I'm with these. I forget what my original plan was. I think it was to get it to like I don't know 50 and then see. I think it's approaching 100 now for sure. And I was thinking, should I stop? And I was like, no, I enjoyed them. I'm just gonna keep going.
Mm,
That's generally my thing. I was mentioning to someone on a brief conversation on Twitter
yeah,
today, that sort of stuff, and I was like, if something stops being fun, then I stop doing it. It's not like it's generating any income. It's just like I just do it for the pleasure of doing it. And I've had hobbies in the past where I kind of it started to feel like I had to do it, and if it feels that way, it just gets uninteresting. But if it's just like this nice thing where you can have a conversation with someone, you learn bits and
exactly.
pieces. It's really cool. Yeah, it's a nice thing.
No, no, I agree. And I also heavily agree on the part if it stops being fun, stop doing it.
Yeah, yeah. With the thing I used to do was like I was taking like photographs of amateur football here in Berlin, which has obviously got nothing to do with any of this. It was just a hobby that I had, but I started doing it because I had a camera and I like football, and at the bottom of my street was like a random football pitch, so it was all like Kreisliga type stuff. It was really good fun. But then after a while, it was just kind of I was just doing it just for the sake of for the sake of taking photographs. And then because I've got the kids, and the kids are still pretty young, I felt like I was just taking time away from them. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
what's this doing for me, you know? Yeah. Hey, Megan, how you doing? Like this hello Ben square. Exactly. Oh
Ben
man,
Square.
exactly. But what's your like day to day like when you're working with your data, when you're working with your bits and pieces? What do you find you're opening your computer and doing and getting all passionate about with data? What's your favorite
So
thing?
my favorite data thing. Oh,
Yeah.
see.
See, big questions I didn't prepare you for, and I just
There's that.
I just like
And
putting you on the spot, you know.
and especially since that's one of the questions we ask on Finding Data Friends, I really should have a good answer for that.
Did I steal your question? I feel
No, you
so
did
bad.
not. The probability of me inviting myself to my own podcast at some point is fairly low. Let's leave it at that. I might. We've been also discussing that at some point we might just do Jess introducing herself and me introducing myself.
It's a
But
good idea.
that might be like episode 100, 500, 1,000. Who knows? You got to think big. But to your question, in my day-to-day job, a part of having a bunch of management chores and admin shit and whatnot that comes with running a company, we still do a lot of traditional data integration. By traditional data integration, I mean we still do a lot of on-prem stuff because this is Germany. We are a couple of years behind. It is what it is.
A
I would,
couple, maybe a couple of
yeah. Well,
decades.
so I think it was 2019. I was at Microsoft Inspire, what used to
Okay.
be the Microsoft Partner Conference,
Mm.
and they were, I mean, basically all they do in their keynotes is everybody's applauding themselves, and then they were announcing the countries with the biggest growth in Azure consumption and all that. And it was Saudi Arabia, something, something, and Germany. And everyone was like, yes. And it was like, you people did not read between the lines. It is way easier to get your second customer than to get from 100,000 to 200,000 customers. So
Yeah.
this is actually bad news.
Yeah.
So there's that. So we do a lot of traditional data integration, a lot of traditional warehousing. We do a lot of hybrid stuff these days with people still running a lot of stuff on-prem, but moving their warehouses and everything to the cloud.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
on a 30,000 feet level, I've been doing the same thing for the past 25 years. Tools have changed, technologies have changed. We did not do Cinemas pipelines 20 years ago. We were late to the game. But that's kind of what we do. And that is also most of the stuff that I do. We mostly use third-party vendors as our front ends. We rarely use Power BI. I say rarely, it's, well,
how dare you?
We use way more third-party vendors than we do use Power BI. And the reason for that is when we talk to our customer, we don't talk to the IT, we talk to the business. We talk to mid-market customers, and they have all the reporting and analytics. Those are two of their challenges, but they have issues with forecasting and planning and budgeting and risk management and whatnot. But they don't run these huge departments. We're like, yeah, we got 50 people doing this and we got 50 people doing that. They're like, yeah, we got one person and they're actually only working half of the day because they just got back from maternity leave, paternity leave, whatever. So they don't have the resources to run a multitude of tools. So we need one platform that supports all of that. So when we're talking to bigger customers or those that are just like, well, at this point, we really only want to focus on dashboarding or analytics or reporting. Yes, we do a lot of Power BI these days, but the majority of our customers has a wider use case without the proper internal resources of supporting those. So we're at the Microsoft stack up until the data mart, which can be tabular, which can be a queue. We still do a lot of multidimensional, where everyone's like, "Oh, is that still a thing?" I say, "Well, it most definitely is, and especially in the on-prem world, it is still a very legitimate thing."
Yeah. Wow, that's.
I think people have a question here.
I promise I've totally seen it, and it's quite often I'll see the question and I'll forget about it. But this one was a good question.
I mean, Scott is pushing for it here.
He is really so. I mean, it was Megan's question, to be fair, so I'm going to bring it up, and then I'll bring up like the fact that Scott. So it's
So first of all, let me do the
how
zoom in
many
here
pairs
for
of glasses?
Megan. And what that is this is laminated gold, silver, and copper.
Nice.
They are custom made. No bragging.
Wow, that's impressive.
And to the question of Megan and Scott, the magic number will soon be 50.
Wow,
Um,
that's not bad.
so the 50th pair is currently in production, and it is supposed to arrive here the first week of November. And I really hope it does, because they are also custom made, and they are custom made to match the outfit that I'm going to wear at the Pass Summit.
Nice. I
And
like that a lot.
the thing is,
I like that. I love how people are also,
we're
everyone's
cutting
blown
things
away.
close here.
Everyone's blown away by the number of glasses that you own, and I agree. Blown away in a nice way, of course. There you go. So, what's the goal? Is there a goal to get to a certain number, or just like have one for every day of the year? Would be a cool goal, so you can really just
No. So first of all, no, there is no goal.
okay.
Funny enough, another spoiler alert for the Pass Summit. If you will be at the Pass Summit, join us at the Power Hour, and I will be showcasing actually a part of my collection.
Nice. You could do
And
analysis of the collection as well. You could do whatever, like how many
yeah,
you have of this
I don't want
color.
to spoil too much of what I'll be doing there, because otherwise someone might come up with a competitive product there and do a
Fair enough.
showcase of their own glasses collection. So
I'm
let's
gonna
keep it
shut
a bit
up.
in the
I'm gonna
open
shut
here.
up. Like, See,
Exactly, Martha. There's also the database on number of pairs in my basement. So that was a joke Martha and I were doing at SQL conference
yeah.
at the Power. Martha had built a data set on that. So no, and obviously at 50, we're way past the point where I'm like, oh, I don't have anything like this. So the number of pairs bought per year, if that's a KPI, is going down.
Okay.
Because it is very specific stuff
Mm.
it's either something that is custom made, like for last year's SQL Bits keynote, for example, I had my Pride glasses made, which actually laminated Pride flags, so it's
That's
rainbow
cool.
glasses.
That's cool.
Or if it's something made out of a race, so I have one pair of glasses that's made out of leather. I have one that's made out of stone. I've got some that are actually
Stone.
made out of yes.
That's incredible, though.
And as per the manufacturer, I could drop them from like the first floor and they would not break. I do not trust them on that. So
Yeah, that's fair.
yeah.
Just in case. It's nice that they said that, but wow.
Good to know, but yeah. So this is more the level that we're at right now. I do have glasses for like every different purpose, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Like
and
like
honestly,
all
some of
terrain
these
glasses.
so there's also that. I mean, you're saying that as a joke, but actually they do have different glasses. Some of them have a stronger blue filter, for example. If you looking at the screen for a very long time.
Yeah, true. I was thinking about getting some of those actually. I mean, I used to
Oh,
work for an optician, so I should know a bit more maybe than I do. But I was also impressed. But I mean, the first time I saw wooden frames, I thought that was pretty cool. But that sounds so basic compared to what you're talking about right now. Do you have any glasses that have like the that also are like headphones where you have like speakers like in the glasses, or is that just
I do not.
Yeah, okay,
None of my glasses have any gadgets,
okay,
so to speak, with
okay.
the exception of the glasses themselves, because all of the lenses are actually custom made.
Okay.
So there is this German lens company, Zeiss,
I know it's nice, yeah.
and basically what they do is you put on the glasses and then they do a 3D scan of your head, and by doing that, they will automatically determine the distance from your eye to every single piece of those glasses, and that has two huge advantages, especially with big frames. Usually things would get blurry when you look like to the side,
Okay.
whereas with those it does not. And the other big advantage, and that also speaks to Scott's question, before I started buying these individual glasses, so technically the number is higher than 50, but I'm not so there's 50 active glasses. That would be the
The
proper
active
answer.
glasses. It sounds like another metric.
I'm pretty sure I've disposed all of the old ones.
Okay.
Because before that, like every 2 years, every 2 to 3 years, my vision had changed so much that I actually needed to relens. Since I
Okay.
started wearing these individual lenses or glasses, no change, and that has been, let me say, 7, 8 years. I mean, I could look it up in my data set, but I don't want to make people wait.
So you don't. So I'm disappointed that you don't have this data just sitting there waiting at all the time in case you need to bring it up. Just it's
See,
always there. It's always ready.
no, the thing is, I've shut down all the disturbance around me, including my huge Power BI glasses dashboard, just to make sure I can fully focus on our conversation here.
Well, that's that you brought up an entire new topic, like the Hololens. Do you gonna have like some Hololens enabled glasses so you can just bring up your dashboards like on the or reports, whatever call them these days, like in front of your screen. You walk into your kitchen, you're wearing your Hololens glasses, and your report comes on your fridge, that kind of stuff.
I'm done with the HoloLens. It let me down big time.
Oh, real?
SQL Conference 2020.
Okay.
The last in-person conference right before the pandemic, it was early March, so it was
Mm.
basically a week before lockdown. And Alexander Klein, he developed that fancy Power App for the HoloLens.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So basically, the idea was, and we were using cognitive services and everything. So the idea was, I'm walking through the room, I take a picture of you. Cognitive service will be like, okay, is Ben happy or not? And then I hand you either a beer or a piece of swag, and then take another picture of you with the HoloLens, and the
Okay.
HoloLens will tell me if that made you happier or not.
Okay. Just a tip.
And
Cake would make me happy, but yeah. Okay. Please
okay,
continue.
good to know. Good to know. The thing is, and I'm not sure if we've ever shared that publicly, so this might be a revealing episode. It
Ooh.
worked perfectly when we tested it all out. We made one mistake. We tested it all out in the light, and when we did that at the party, everything was dark, so the HoloLens couldn't focus, so it was not able to take a single picture. So I was just
Nightmare.
walking around saying "click, click" all night, and telling people, "Oh yeah, that was a great picture."
Oh, I love it. That's cool. Yeah, fair enough. So HoloLens was dropped recently. I did not see if HoloLens was dropped. Maybe I don't know. I saw Mark Zuckerberg Facebook and something with his new type of. I know Google had some kind of lens that was dropped a few years ago. HoloLens, I'm not sure. Haven't heard much of it for ages, to be honest. I don't know. I can't speak to that. What are you gonna do?
Again,
Anyway,
HoloLens,
you don't
we
owe
parted
them.
ways.
Yeah, you've parted ways. They let you down. So don't let down Ben because he will just cast you aside. Noted.
Correct. And I will mention it on a entirely random different show years later.
This
It's
is
good, so good to finally talk about this. This has
get
been
let
sitting
off
in
your
the chest for
chest.
so long.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do you feel like
thank
a
you.
weight's been lifted off your
This is an
shoulder?
open space, right? I can share stuff.
Absolutely. All for the random digressions here, mate. Best digression ever. Yeah, we've had some pretty special digressions, Die Hard and what have you. And of course, when I think Mara, she came in the chat before. When she was here, we did some good as well. A bit of dancing involved, all that kind of stuff. It's just the way we go. Some data, some randomness. Just to keep it light.
There's that.
It's very good. It's very good. Anyway, your glasses, very impressed. Didn't expect them to be so many. I feel a bit better actually because I picked up a hobby like just about a year ago, and I started playing the ukulele a little bit. And I thought, oh, that would be good. That would be like a nice, like cheap hobby because ukuleles aren't particularly expensive. But I forget that obsessive part of my personality where I find it difficult not to kind of collect. And
So
and,
now you
and
have like 50 ukuleles. Is that
well,
what
I
you're
actually
saying?
I only have six, but when you saying 50 made me feel a lot better, to be honest. Um,
You're welcome.
yeah, but now I feel like it made me feel better, but also it made me tell myself it's actually okay if I actually buy more. So maybe I'm not sure if it's a good thing or a bad thing. We need, we need to sound, yeah. Well, give me another year, so I'm slightly less terrible. I'm such a bad musician; it is shocking. I would say my ability to play any sort of music is on par or slightly better than my ability to draw, both of which are just not great, to be honest. So to get to any normal standard it takes me a while. So give me another year, guys.
You just gave me two great ideas. First of all, you will come on Finding Data, friends. And after that, you will join the Finding Data Friends big band, because at this point we found so many people playing instruments. Some of them also just like, oh yeah, I just started playing the cello like a week ago. Well, not a week ago, but some are fairly newish to it.
Yeah, okay.
Some are very professional and have been doing that for a very long time.
Mm.
And the other, and this is the $1 million idea, and I'm going to gift that to you. Basically, for allowing me to invite myself back here. In like a year or so, that intro music for the show, you will re-record. You will play it with the ukulele.
Okay. Do I have to sing it as well? I'll
No,
just.
you don't have to.
Okay, that's fine.
I mean, you
Actually,
can. I have.
yeah.
Who am I to judge?
Okay, fair enough. So I'll take that. That's a good challenge. To be fair, I'll see what I can do. And even if it's really terrible, I'll have to use it on at least one episode, right?
Yes.
Cool. So it's been recorded, so it's an official thing. I can't get rid of this now.
Exactly. There's
I,
that.
I'm taking that. I'm taking that. Why did I even ask that question? How stupid am I that I said,
I was
"Do I
thinking that
have to
when you said
sing?"
it, but I was like, he's gonna figure it out.
Why do I keep walking into these situations where I make it harder for myself? I don't know,
Sorry if
but
I have to correct you there. You did not walk into a situation. There was flat land, and you took a shovel and started digging a hole. And once that hole was fairly deep, you were looking at yourself and was like, I'm going to dig a dig deeper just because I can. That's what happened. You did not walk. It's not like there was a trap or anything.
Oh man, yeah, very true. I just have this natural instinct to make my life harder than it needs to be.
Apparently.
Yeah, but also they maybe this is like these personalities, like personality types of learning and stuff as well. The way people learn, and I totally have that thing that when I'm learning something, I can't learn it just by like reading documents and that's how it's done. I have to learn it by like doing it and then making the
Yeah,
errors. It's just
I totally agree.
it's a strange thing. I think maybe because I just have a short attention span to sit down and like read, documents or like a manual, or if I'm, or that really the worst thing when you buy something that you really like and you got to put it together and you have that terrifying moment where you think I'm like 4 seconds away from breaking it. So stop, take a step back, and then at least in that point look at the manual. I hate that. Where's Ben? Yeah, wait, one second. Which Ben is this, by the way? I guess it's not me because I always look totally pale. So I guess it's you, Ben.
Ben was in Spain for a week in August.
Ben was also in Berlin for the past 6 months. But again, you, Ben. Ben W. There you go. Where were you, Ben W? Where have you been?
I was in Spain. We were in Mallorca for a week
Nice.
with
Good.
friends.
Very
And
nice.
since you asked, Megan, I will be back in the Maldives right after the PASS summit. I'm actually flying home Saturday, get home Sunday, repack, and then we fly out Monday morning.
Not bad
Fingers
at
crossed,
all.
nothing goes wrong. But what could go wrong in like November flying? There's nothing like weather or something, right? Right?
No. No.
Good.
Terrible.
Ooh.
Just maybe wear a mask, maybe it's just in case.
Yes, there's that.
Yeah. I haven't been on an airplane since Corona. It's really strange that it's probably the longest time in my life since I actually traveled for the first time, flew for the first time. I haven't been on an airplane since 2019, which feels strange, especially for a former flight attendant where I used to spend half my lives on airplanes.
You were
Um,
from a. See, I did not know that about you.
yeah, I worked for EasyJet for like, I think 3 years, maybe 3.5 years.
Okay.
So, which is why this is a really strange thing. I didn't wear or use the color orange for years because I work for EasyJet, which is a very orange airline. And then it just kind of snuck back into my life. And now there's like orange everywhere. Like I have orange background here. One of my favorite colors to use on a report, by the way, is also orange and gray, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, being a flight attendant and wearing orange shirts every day made me
Fair.
stay away from that. I have Ben F has never been to Colorado, Megan,
You
unfortunately.
should. Colorado is beautiful. And Ben W hasn't been to Colorado
Oh,
since, I'm going to say, 2018 or so. So it has just been a while.
yeah. Sounds cool though.
Also, I'm
I mean,
pretty sure I told you the last time I was there and you were not in town. But I mean,
don't know. The only
who's
place
counting?
the only
I am.
place Ben F has been to, and I like to call himself Ben F, by the way. It's kind of like a third person situation. The only place Ben F has been to in the US was Miami Beach. I went there in, I don't know, so many, I can't remember anymore. Maybe was it before I moved to Berlin? I think it was before I moved to Berlin. So it was probably like 2000 4 or something. I was in Miami. I didn't like it, to be honest. I don't like beaches; they're too hot. I mean, I do like beaches, but I like beaches in like the northern Europe where they're like cold and windy and stuff.
Yeah, I'm also going to say that Miami Beach does not represent all you're going to get out of the US. I'm kind
That
of
is,
stating
of
the
course,
obvious here,
yes,
but
of course, yeah. That's a very fair comment. Yeah. 1 second.
beaches in Colorado are different than they are in Miami. Let's leave it at that.
Well, it's very different to the beaches of Whitley Bay as well, which is where I'm from,
Yes.
by the way, northeast England, Whitley Bay. But the weird thing about me and beaches is that no matter where, or any body of sand, essentially, is that no matter what's happening on that beach, I will like regress to like my childhood. And so Miami Beach or whatever beach is like, but certainly Miami Beach, it was like people kind of like, like being quite posery and stuff, which is not really my thing. And like they were like working out and all that kind of stuff. And I'm just sitting there, a person in my mid-20s, just digging a really big hole. Because when I get to beaches, I just love digging big holes on beaches because it's really fun. That's what I
Did
do.
you realize how funny that is given the digging hole story from like 2
I know.
minutes ago, right? I mean, you're literally digging yourself a big hole.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't make that up.
I'm so basic, man. My personality is just is represented by my actions. Oh man. So yeah. See, where you go to the beach, all the guys start digging holes, right? So it's not just me, okay? I
Okay.
I like to dig a hole to see how high or how deep I can get it without like, it collapsing, and to see how much of my body actually I can fit inside the hole. There you go.
Yeah, I can see that.
There's something
It
weird
all
about
makes
me.
sense now.
Yeah, yeah. I love when I have these part of these conversations and I just don't know how we got here. But yes,
Probably by digging a hole
probably
at
by,
this
di-
point.
probably by, by digging a hole. Probably by digging a hole, exactly. But I do want to get the US to get to some like nice Power BI conference or data conference, I should say. By the way, I have noticed that with conferences and tech talks and stuff, I always feel a bit put off when they're called SQL something, simply because my knowledge of SQL is and it's a world that I never really existed in. So if it's called SQL something, I feel like I'm less likely to go to it because I'll feel like it'll be like completely out of the realm of what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean it's a tough one. Let's take SQL. I mean, Data Grown used to be SQL Grown, but we're a tiny event, so
Okay.
we just were like, okay, we're going to rebrand,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. Makes
Once
sense.
you've built a huge brand, I mean, at this point, SQL Bits is not SQL Bits; it is Data Bits
Yeah.
because there's Fabric, there's Power BI, there's Databricks,
Mm. Yeah.
there's all the things.
Yeah.
Traditional SQL Server is a minority at this point anyway, but even if you expand to like cloud offerings like Azure SQL, etc.,
Mm.
um, if those, I'm going to say DBA-ish topics get to like 50% or so, that's probably too high as well
Mm.
already. So, but at the same time, you have a brand. Do you really want to
Yeah.
rebrand from that? Because I mean, it is a very strong brand.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
for
not
sure.
just like,
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can I just say I'm so grateful to the people in the chat who when we get totally random, they'd really try their best to bring us back on track. So Megan today is really pulled. She's really going for it, and I really appreciate that. So like it's like, Ben, stop talking about digging holes. Please ask a data-driven question. So I'll have to bring it up. That I feel bad. What was the first one? What was the most difficult technical problem you have solved?
yeah, I saw that and I was hoping you wouldn't pick it.
I saw it and I decided I would just to kind of.
Oh, so now you're digging holes for other people as well.
Yeah, exactly. There's room for two people in here, mate.
Digging holes as a service. Perfect. I don't have a good answer for it because I would
Fair enough.
probably really have, also because I'm very, very old. So I've had a bunch of technical problems that I kind of had to solve. I mean,
What?
especially when it's as difficult. Like, for example, just the other day we were integrating data through a horribly slow REST API and stuff. So we were building, even though there was no incremental or loading or anything from that thing, we were kind of building that by trying to figure out how to get as close as we can get to the latest record and stuff like that.
Mm.
But
Maybe
it's
you
still
could,
not a super
maybe you could
difficult.
we could kind of reframe it and say, what's the data or the most the technical problem that you solved that you've been most proud of solving. Could we try and do it that way? Like when you solved it, I was like, that's awesome. I'm really proud that I did that because I didn't think I could, or I had to use some kind of cool solution. I hope Megan's okay with me reframing her question somehow.
Oh,
Is
I'll
that
allow it. It's fine.
yeah?
It still does not make the
Uh,
question easier for me, and I think
uh,
part of that is because we. So if you would ask me what I'm doing, even though my sessionized tagline says works with computers, we would say we're a business consultancy. We're not an IT company
mm,
because we help businesses solving issues. We help businesses solving problems. We help people run their department, run themselves, run their
mm,
company, run their organization. So in many cases, it's at second look very untechnical problems that they have that we came up with elegant solutions. I'm going to say
okay.
that those typical things where someone's like, "Yeah, we're working on that report, and it takes us like 20 days every month to get it done, and then basically we start again for the next month." And then at some
Mm,
point you're like, "Oh, by the way, those 20 days, they are now half a day of work for you, so you can actually focus on that data."
yeah, fair enough.
Um,
Yeah.
we just built some very fancy OpenAI integrations into some SQL data, which I still think is fun that you can even do it that seamlessly and stuff.
Yeah.
At the same time, it was like 10 lines of code once you figured it all out. So it's
Yeah.
saying, "Oh, that was a technical challenge. Here's my 10 lines of." I mean, sometimes those 10 lines of code might actually solve something that others have been working on because they were trying to approach it from a too difficult angle.
Yeah.
That's because simplicity is king, and also I try to squeeze as much into one line as I can. So when I said it was a 10-line script, other people would have made it like a 1,000-line thing with comments and stuff. But I mean, who's
Who,
documenting their
who
thing?
needs comments? I mean, come on.
No,
No one needs comments. No one reads the comments.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, but it is really more the business challenges that we've solved.
Mm,
In like, I'm going to give you a very plastic example of that. One of our customers, they have this big warehouse where they store food, and one part of that warehouse is actually frozen food. So we were building an SVG to basically visualize that entire thing, and then visualize on that SVG which of these items are being picked the most, and
mm,
put them towards the entrance. So the person that actually has to pick them doesn't always have to walk through minus 40 degrees. For our friends from the US, they use Fahrenheit. Minus 40 Celsius is pretty cold. That's as far as my conversion skills go. Uh,
I'm impressed.
so, and sometimes it's tiny things like that. Sometimes it's like, hey, you just built that report that's helped us save this and this much money, which
Mm.
is
That's
it doesn't sound very, but
it's very
and
rewarding though, for sure.
yeah, and we see ourselves as we don't do like typical projects. We're like, okay, we do this and this for you, and then we're out. I
Okay.
have customers that I've been working with and for more than 20 years at this point.
Yeah.
We see
Oh
ourselves
wow,
more like an extended workbench, trusted
that's nice.
advisor, partner, whatever you want to call that. So, yeah, in many cases, um, actually, many of our customers are soccer clubs or proper football clubs, as we
Oh
call
really?
them. So we visualize their stadiums, and for some of them, for example, we use
That's
that with
cool.
real-time data for the
Wow.
rescue teams to tell them how many people are in which area of the stadium if something goes wrong, and stuff like that. Well, again, technically challenging?
Mm,
No. Was it
mm.
super cool to build that? Yes.
Yeah. Very cool. I like it. Wow. Didn't expect that. I like anything with like related to sports data. I find it very interesting. I've got to say, and one of the my kind of ongoing project that I have for myself is using like sports data and stuff just to
See,
kind
you
of
should talk to Abi. Abi was speaking at the last New Stars of Data. He will also be speaking at the Past Data Community Summit. And his session at the Past Data Community Summit is basically on getting insights out of sports data.
okay, cool. Then that sounds good. I shall do that. Thanks for the tip, mate. For stuff for me that the stuff that I work with that I always find most rewarding is APIs. I love working with APIs because
Yeah.
for some reason with APIs, I always feel it like it's me versus the API. Like because of sometimes the structure is a nightmare and you got to really go through and the challenges with Power BI of creating your own like custom connectors, all that kind of stuff. When I finally like tame the API, it kind of feels like I've done a rodeo, and I
Yeah.
won. That's for me always the most.
APIs are the best, but
Yeah,
APIs are also the worst. So
exactly that. I love it when people have just show me the ability of how unconcise, is that a word, or non-concisely I talk. Yeah, exactly. It's me versus the API.
that should be a session.
It should be a session. Okay, I'm stealing that. Sorry, everyone.
I'm looking forward to your data grown submission. It's me versus the API. You can
Me
also
versus the.
co-present with Megan.
Yeah, cool. Actually, yeah. API rodeo, me versus the API, all that kind of stuff. Okay, Megan,
I'm going to accept that session blindly. It's done. You're in.
I'm gonna Megan. I'll DM you about that, or whatever it's called on LinkedIn. I'll get in touch. Sort of. There you go. See, Power BI Tips already made a session out with that. God damn it. So close. There can be two. It's fine. This is not Highlander, you know. Just as a word of warning, my family just got home. So if a child comes running through that door, it's because they got home and they're excited because they got new clothes. By the way, so just as a word of warning there. Cool, but
I've
yeah,
been warned.
yes, I'm pleased. I'm pleased you did. See, Megan's question ended up looping around into me submitting a session with Megan about the question that even though it wasn't the original question. Love how
It was
these
not the
things
original
work.
question. I never properly answered it, and I would probably need to think very long, and I might still not come up with a great answer.
That's fine.
Because, like, also when you and that might just be because I'm such a humble person, very likable, but also humble.
I love it.
When you think of tech, people are like, oh yeah, we had that data warehouse with like petabytes of data, and it took them like 7 days to load, and then we did this and this index, and then it was like 2 seconds. I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I will never be the best in performance optimization. I built like solid warehouses and solid pipelines and all that. We do a lot of automation in doesn't so we try to get rid of anything that is non-productive. So we do a lot of metadata-driven stuff, which sometimes people are, that is cool. Did you just basically migrate that SSIS package for like 150 tables to ADF in like 2 minutes? And I was like, yeah, that's kind of what we just did there, because it's all coming out of metadata. So the only thing we're changing is don't make it a DTSX, make it a JSON file. But still, 15 lines of code. It's not. And again, simplicity and the small things usually fry the bigger fish, if that makes any sense. So
It does. It does. It does.
and yes, Megan, I do still BIML. I do still BIML a lot.
Okay. I noticed BIML on you because I was going through your session. I was doing my usual pre-talk stalk, and I saw someone there. It was pretty. And who did we do the live stream with? And we're talking about. Was your nickname Bimble Ben or something?
Yes.
It was Frank. Was it Frank? Must have
Frank
been.
Geisler, yes.
Yeah, it was Frank Geisler, and he was referring to you as Bimmel Ben. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he's Angry Frank, so there's that.
Angry Frank. Oh, I love it. So he's still
the Bimmel Ben thing is actually funny, because I didn't give myself that nickname, even though you mentioned. At some point, I was landing, I think it was Hamburg Airport. I was actually speaking at their user group that evening about Bimmel. And someone approached me at the airport and was like, "Hey, are you Bimmel Ben?" I was like, I guess I am. And that's how it became a thing.
I love it.
I mean, Frank is Angry Frank because, I mean, you've met him.
Yeah.
And then we are doing that. Well, we haven't done an episode in, I think, more than 2 years, but please talk data to me. And there's also Tillman, and he's the only one who didn't get to choose his own nickname or bring it onto the show. So we just called him Mr. T. Did not hear any saying that, but
oh man, actually, I met Frank. I mean, I've never met him in person, but I met Frank because he was my mentor on New Stars of Data. By the way, there you go, brings us back around, and that was really cool.
I may have known that.
Yeah, maybe
may have paired you.
May have done that, right? But that was really cool. That was really cool because it was like, it was just like this really kind of cool guy, just to kind of like give me some advice every now and then. And
despite the vibes he's giving, he's a good person.
Yeah, he's like an English person. He's a good liar, right?
Fair enough.
No, it's cool. Someone asked me a random question about my kids. So my daughter is just turned 7. My son is I'll try again. My daughter just turned 10. My son is 7. And because my wife is Italian and she is from Florence, my daughter is called Florence, and my son is called Lorenzo. The weird thing about that is Florence and Lorenzo, we didn't realize until a couple of years later that the middle part of their name is identical. Lauren. You got Florence and Lorenzo. So there's that part there. And a German person said to us, "Why did you give your kids such similar names?" And we hadn't realized that we had, but because German pronounce it's like Germans won't say Florence, they'll say Florence. They'll say Florence and Lorenzo. So they said to us, like, "Why did you give your kids such similar names?" Like, we didn't. They have pretty different names. And then it was that pronunciation that made us think, wow, that's strange. It's like we just didn't have any imagination for so many letters, so we just kind of like chose like a 5 stam letters, and then went around the rest. I don't know. Thank you very much. Actually, at first I didn't want to call my daughter Florence because my wife said Florence because I'm from Florence, and people from Florence are very proud of their city. And I was like, no. But then I was like, Florence Nightingale is like, it's like a name. It's not just kind of like a random. So I
And once the machines take over, she can be Florence and the Machines.
And when she was born, they were at the peak of the fame.
I was like 10 years ago. That sounds about
exactly. And again, that was coincidence, but it was quite cool. What language did the band speak? That's a good question. Well, you start there, mate, because people are more here for you than me.
Well, I obviously do speak German, a little bit of English, and a little less of French.
Okay, nice.
I can also order pizza and beer fluently in Italian and Spanish. So
it's very important.
You
got to start with the food words and the alcohol words, basically,
and the swear words.
The swear words is basically my Italian. I mean, I speak obviously English. I speak German's. My German's pretty decent. Yeah, and but my Italian, I always feel bad that I don't know as well. But the swear words is because I've listened to my wife when she gets angry and she gets to swear, or when she was giving birth, for example, was some Italian swearing. But also, I used to read lots of books about Italian football, and in those books, there's like the swear words that the crowd were chanting this, the crowd were chanting that, and that's where I learned those words. So I would say the moderate swear words I learned from my wife, and the really terrible ones that no one should really ever say, I learned from Italian football. So there you go.
Fair.
Yeah, and French. I used to speak French in when I was in school, but very bad French. And then I lost them all when I moved to Germany. I had like my brain had like 2 sections. It had like English and foreign. So when I started learning German, all the French just like fell out. It was quite strange. And my kids speak English and German and Italian, and they don't really have like a native. They don't really have like a mother tongue, because we speak English at home as a family, and then they speak to my wife to speak Italian, and in school they speak German. So that's like they've got like 3.
That's amazing.
It's pretty. I'm jealous, to be honest. It's really cool. But because I don't speak any Italian, when my daughter and then also my son are teenagers and just generally just dislike me and stuff, it'll be interesting that they speak a language that I don't. That'll be difficult. We'll see how that goes. Nah, yeah. It's fun, but it has its drawbacks as well. Indeed, it does. It's been an hour, mate, and it's been for me a very enjoyable hour, I have to say.
I had a lot of fun.
That's the most. As long as you had fun and the people in the chat had fun, that's really what I'm going for here, you know. So I would usually try and keep it going a little bit, but because of the time of day, my family just got home. I need to go and check out of all the stuff that they've been bought. Do you really think it'll take them? Sorry.
I was thinking the same thing, and again, I was like, I'm not going to say it.
I love the situation.
I was thinking the same sentence.
Ben let one go, but the one that Ben let go, Megan took up anyway. So
well, great minds think alike. So
they do. That is very true. Megan, I'm going to get in touch with you soon regarding that session. And everyone
would love to have you.
Yeah, it would be cool. I would really love that as well, actually. Everyone in the chat, thank you so much for joining. I don't think I'm going to be back next week because I've got a different thing going on, but there'll be the week after that. I'll be back at the regular time. Ben, thank you so much for joining, and thank you for not holding against me that I forgot to invite you back. I know I'm a terrible person, but what are you going to do?
Thank you for having me invite myself here, and also thank you for having me. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, everyone. And
thank you so much.
I'm very much looking forward to see many of you at some upcoming events because in person, yay!
Fantastic. Love it. Cool.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Bye.
everyone. Goodbye.